Greetings, fellow scribes! Welcome back to the archive. This week's discussion is on The Dark Eye. The Dark Eye is the biggest RPG in Germany, and has recently, in the past couple years, been given a new edition, and with that new edition came localized support for the US. This is being brought to us by Ulysses North America, the North American division of the company Ulysses, which is the current rights holder in Germany. The game system has long been shaped by the actions of players at the big game fairs in Europe. And so I figured I would go ahead and give this game a talk, just because it comes from a different mindset than American systems. And some of the features of it stand out noticeably to me. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy the discussion as I talk about The Dark Eye. One of the things that really sets The Dark Eye apart from most American systems, at least in the current edition, is how skill checks work. Because when you get down to it, in every system, how skill checks work is always the most important aspect. Because for most of them, this determines how things work throughout the whole system. Except for some older-fashioned games that have combat roles separate from the skill system. But the Dark Eye operates on a philosophy of each skill is based on 3 separate ability checks. Some skills might use 2 of the same ability, or 3 of the same ability. Others use completely different ones for each of these 3 checks. And how the check works is you need to roll under the attribute, under the ability score. Now, you do have ranks and skills. What you do is you spend these ranks to lower the die roll to make a skill check successful. And any of the unspent skill points result in the quality level of the success. So, it is possible for you to succeed on all 3 checks, but have a success that really just succeeded. At the same time, it is possible with good dice roll and good attributes to succeed in all 3 and not have to spend any skill points, and thus yield a higher level skill success. And ultimately, quality level is how everything works. In combat, you make your skill check for your attack, your opponent makes the skill check for their defense, and then the 2 of you compare the quality level with whoever got the higher quality level on their success succeeding. Now, of course, if you roll a 1, that is a critical success, which directly impacts your quality level if you confirm it. And that is the core of the skill system in the Dark Eye. Ultimately, it is a simple, direct system with lots of room for different things to be done. One of the things that really caught my attention with the Dark Eye is how their character creation works. See, most systems in the US operate on an assumption that everyone is going to be starting off at the same basic level of experience. The Dark Eye doesn't care about that assumption. It actually assumes that it's possible that the group is not. And so it's built the system around that idea. It has a series of experience levels. Inexperienced, ordinary, experienced, masterful, brilliant, legendary. And you pick the experience level you start play at. And from there, you build your character. That determines how many adventure points you have to build your character. Adventure points are their term for experience points, and this is a pure XP type build. Now, of course, there is a whole step-by-step process of pick your character, decide what you're playing, pick your experience level, pick your race, pick your culture, pick your archetype if you're using one. Though it is also possible to completely ignore these packages and just build things your own way. Not advisable for a new player, but it is possible. And from there, you build your character. But what stands out is one of the examples that they gave of talking to the rest of the players, the rest of the group, before you make your character, before you pick your experience level, is a suggestion that one player is playing an experienced knight, and another player is playing that knight's inexperienced squire. At first, this seems kind of off for us, because, in the US, most of our systems are going to assume, again, that everyone's starting off at the same point. Now, speaking as a GM myself, I would be reluctant to allow a brilliant or legendary character into a group unless everyone was playing at that level. But the other levels, when you stop and look at the costs for raising everything up, and how little benefit actually comes in a single point upgrade, it really makes me think that, for the most part, any of the lower levels are going to catch up to the higher levels fairly quickly. Assuming the same XP per session, a lower level character, while they will never exactly and completely make up the difference that higher level character started off with, what they are going to do is they're going to close the gap so much that you're really only talking about a 1 or 2 point difference in most areas. Just because as everything goes up, the prices go up noticeably. And from there, you really don't have much to worry about. And at the same point, if the group knows, say, Bob is playing a masterful bard, then someone knowing that they're playing an inexperienced wizard, hey, they're choosing the challenge. Because unlike so many other systems, this system seems more focused on building the story of your character. Because your point is, you are there to tell stories. You are there to play these characters. And this system seems to really focus on that. Because the whole system is all about the story. Every game system has this is the bare minimum you need to really be able to play. And, I will say, their core rules do a great job in giving you a snapshot of the world. Not an in-depth understanding, but enough that you could start, just get out there, get playing, having fun, figuring out what you want to do with the different cultures, etc. Great for a GM who likes to play with things. But they are very, really setting light. The core rulebook is really just that. It focuses on the rules. The core rules are what it cares about. It's going to get just what you need to be able to mechanically play the game. It has some basic common adversaries in there for you to use, but not really a whole lot of them. For knowing about the world itself, you want the Aventuria Almanac. That is the book that's all about the setting. It deals almost exclusively with just going across the world, going in depth, as much as it can anyway, into each of the cultures, and then has a good chunk of it devoted to the history of the setting. Because much of the history of the setting is determined by the actions of special events in Europe. I kind of hope that they're going to start doing that for some of the major conventions in the U.S., giving U.S. players a chance to influence things. But as of right now, to my knowledge, at the recording of this video, it is just certain major game fairs in Europe where these events are held. Now then, of course, everyone wants some monsters. Everyone wants some stuff to fight. And that is why you would want the Aventurian Bestiary. The third of what I consider the core books of this setting and game line. With these three, you have the rules, the detailed setting, and some stuff to throw at your poor PCs. And I love how these are all laid out and organized in an effective and logical manner. Yes, they have a number of other source books that have already been released in English, but those aren't really necessary. And again, the core rulebook has everything you need to play the game. These other two are just stuff to up the immersion and give your players different threats to deal with. So with this, I will end my discussion of the dark eye. I was trying to do things a little bit differently for this one just because it's a little bit of a different setting and system and a little bit of a different mindset behind it, seeing as it's being designed from a European mindset, not the American mindset. So things don't necessarily work the way we do them in the US. Great example is they actually separate setting and rules. While in the US, we tend to put lots of setting detail in our very rule books. At least for systems that are built around a specific setting. So, with that, I just want to say, if you liked this video, please click like and subscribe down below. And I will see you next week. So until then, have fun and keep gaming.